In this matchup, like, I feel like every week we kind of lean a bit more one way or the other. Is it fair to say that this is kind of more of a 50-50 matchup these days?
I do want to say it's still Ayyubid favorite. Like, if the Ayyubid player knows what's up and really, like, uses the timing correctly,
Do you think maybe
prepares
the growth
himself,
wing type builds work better here?
I just don't want to see Camel Lancers, KP.
Don't
I
get
want
me
to see
started on that.
Ghoulems and nothing but Ghoulems.
You know what? I'm there. I feel like you've been in my chat. We've talked about this so many times. Like, when it's Gorge, especially, I'm like, it's such an exposed map with the Ayyubids Ghoulam timing. It just kind of feels like it's fate.
Your opponent's not going to run away from the Ghoulems. In the end, like, I'm fine. I'm gonna settle in the middle, and I say, okay, one stable, one barracks. You do a little bit of both. And that's fine. That's fine. Like, you use the Camel Lances to, like, harass, be a little bit sneaky here and there, get your opponent in an uncomfortable position. But when it comes to the actual fights, you want to have that performance, that cost to performance ratio from the Ghoulems that absolutely blows anything that the Delhi can really muster out of the water.
Now, I'm wondering, like, is there a potential world in which we see Growth Wing and Feudal? Because we saw a few players returning to that recently in this particular matchup, and it did look quite effective.
Something that you could do in theory would be you go for, like, I don't want to say Desert Raiders necessarily in the Castle Age. You could go Growth Wing in Feudal Age and then Advancement in Castle Age, get that really quick age up in. You also save a lot of resources for your technologies, for your units. Or another possibility is the Blacksmith upgrade.
Yep, especially if you're playing a little bit longer of Feudal. I think the only issue I always see that build is Ayyubid players, more than any other Civ, seem to struggle with Blacksmith timings and getting them prepped. And if you go Castle Master Smiths, you need to have them prepped.
Yeah, that's a weird interaction, but you do need those prepped. But it sounds like our game number one might be right around the corner as we do hear those in-game sounds coming in. And here we go, grand final, DeMu versus Kiljardi. We're starting off in Gorge, and it's going to be the Delhi Sultanate versus the Ayyubids.
That's right, hype it up, folks. This is the moment we've been waiting for across the last 3 days. At the end of it, we will crown a champion. Hopefully we get 7 games. I'm hoping it's going to come right down to the line. Team Liquid's DeMu opens with the Delhi. Kiljardi representing Finland to the Ayyubids.
All right, different lanes have been selected. Players now scouting the Gorge for the sheep. Who will come out on top there? Nice little sheep found here by Kiljardi. 3 on 1 spot. Is going to need him. DeMu is on the other side.
We saw DeMu in the English matchup. He done that very interesting free scholar build. I'm wondering if that's worth attempting here up against the Ayyubids again.
I actually legitimately don't think so. Mainly because the Ayyubid timing with the fast castle age, like, it's so figured out at this point in time that even with the third scholar, you might not be in time to take the sacred sites. It could happen. Like, if Kiljardi slightly miss macros, the sacred sites might actually get captured just as the age up hits. It could be an option. And DeMu did it earlier, so might do it again.
Yeah, because the logic there is, like, the Sanctity unlock timing is quicker, right? Because you have free scholars very quickly, so tech comes in a little bit faster there. But, you know, step one, of course, if that's a potential option, is going to be what Kiljardi's choice is going to be. You know, if there was a player in this tournament I'd most expect to be a big fan of Growth Wing plays in Feudal with Ayyubids, it's the guy that the other day playing Ayyubids built 50 archers in Feudal Age.
So far, it doesn't necessarily strike me as a Growth Wing build, mainly because Kiljardi is kind of like ignoring the expiration date of some of those berry bushes, so he's not making maximum use if it was the early economic wing growth. Could still happen though, and Tower of Victory is now going to be coming in. Kiljardi also with his age up. Let's check, and it is going to be that economic wing growth. We'll have to make sure though that he doesn't like fully finish up fully finish off those berry bushes.
I felt like a teacher, like when Ayyubids first came out, I felt like a teacher just telling off the kids. Every cast, they'd be like, oh, he's eating the berries. Why is he eating the berries again? It is actually a really big deal, even at this stage. You know, an extra 50 food, that's an extra 300 safe food in this matchup. And with this type of approach, you're taking an aggressive line on both sides. So whoever has to come out to the unsafe resources faster is going to be at risk here.
Yeah, but Remote has shown us how you do that to like perfection with the berry bushes. There's been like...
He even done it for the castle builds perfectly, right?
Yeah.
Ahead of the curve. That man is most definitely built different, but, you know, France isn't quite in Scandinavia, so no signs of here.
Give it a couple years, decades.
I'm sorry. Is the erosion on the mainland really that bad? Is France just going to break off from the mainlands and float up?
Not necessarily break off, but the climate might be very similar. All right, second scholar is now on the way for DeMu. No villagers remaining on gold though, so this doesn't look like it's going to be that 3-scholar play here.
Should be just a standard Ghazi opening though, right? I don't think you look to go Archer Spears first here.
Yeah, I think you can open up with Ghazi. Sure, Desert Raiders will counter you a little bit, but we've kind of like realized that even if it does come in, the Desert Raider, not the case here, but even if it does come in, Ghazi Raiders, they kind of build different. As long as you like hit and run, you're going to be easily able to trade positively against them.
I usually like the follow-up into Archers and then the wall across the center, especially now that Kiljardi wants to play this age, right? It just cuts the map in a way that's very frustrating for the Delhi opponent.
Age up has now come in. 3 additional villagers just came out of that House of Wisdom. DeMu on his side opens up with a blacksmith, wants to get those early tech ups in.
I think this is a big sticking point. We mentioned it in the pre-game. The blacksmith is always the issue. It looks like we are going to get stable plus archery range. Pretty standard there, so likely we're looking at what, Desert Raider, 2 Horsemen follow-up to kind of contest the Ghazi.
Yeah, this looks like it's going to be an extended feudal age here from Kiljardi, and I like the idea. The theory behind that is with the second stage, or rather the second tier of the Golden Age for the Ayyubids, they get 50% bonus research speed on all of their technology. So if you hit Castle Age while being Golden Age tier 2, all of your upgrades in Castle Age are going to be coming in at lightning speed, and that can really give you like an explosive timing if you play Feudal Age as well. So you have a Feudal Age army, and then your upgrades, your veteran upgrades, are going to be coming in very, very quickly after that.
It's absolutely absurd. 1 minute down to just 40 seconds. It's just... We've seen it with other civs as well, right? I always remember with Japanese Yoshiro drops, the veterancy and the Odachi, all those techs that they get into so quickly because of that. It shows the potency here. DeMu, it looks like actually... Wait... Straight away into archer range. Has he actually garrisoned for the Ghazi production? He does,
yeah. Ghazi Raiders are going to be coming out rather quickly here. And he's going to need a couple of them because now the first Desert Raider is also going to be in queue. And something to take note of, if you really want to pump the Desert Raider numbers, you can also produce them from the archer range, not just the stable.
Yeah. I love that detail as well. Like, and it's cool that players have started to lean into it more because Desert Raiders sometimes just feel like a very difficult justification given their insanely high cost of investment.
Indeed. Archers now also coming in from DeMu.
It's a 40 in gold, by the way. Like, the issue now is Kiljardi. You have to be careful. You can easily show your intent here because if he does try to now go for a quick tech up, he's going to have to build an outpost, right?
Yeah.
And that's going to let DeMu know to send it.
I'm not sure. There's something that he's building right now next to the mining camp. Might be a house, might be an outpost. I don't think it's an outpost.
It's way too early for the outpost play.
It is an outpost.
What?
Okay, that's kind of dangerous. It's going to be like the defensive play from him then.
I guess, okay, so here's the way that Kiljardi could justify this, right? The outpost means he doesn't have to stay at home.
Yeah, that's true. Could, in theory, try to raid a little bit. The issue with that as well is, though, that right now, DeMu, he's like fully committing to the berries at this point in time. As soon as there's like just a little bit of pressure, he's just going to go over to the sheep. Speaking of the sheep, though, however, Kiljardi, he's got a massive lead there when it comes to the sheep numbers. It's got like the usual scouting that you do see from DeMu, which I think is a little bit flawed, especially when you compare it to the scouting that other players do, where DeMu, he doesn't scout an entire lane, so to say, like on the right or left side.
He likes to loop, right?
Yeah, he loops around, and in this case, Kiljardi, he did the full lane, and then DeMu just kind of was trailing that scout at that point in time.
It's definitely, like, one of my favorite people for that loop element was Louis, where his timing was right, that he knew where the enemy scout would be around the center. So then after you do that loop around the sacred site, you check for the scout, and if you don't see it, you know it shouldn't be on your side, and then you do the full lap.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think from what I've seen, Ben tends to just kind of ring your rosies, right? He doesn't deep dive to check for the scout.
Oh, Ghazi Raider gets picked off there. Nice catch by Kiljardi.
Every little counts here. He can't directly contest the army. Remember, the Delhi are just built diff, and the timing would have been lethal as well. Steeled Arrow did just come in. Kiljardi not too far behind with the defensive layer, though. Undermesh now complete.
Yeah, Undermesh coming in, and that's big because Kiljardi behind this, he also has a lead at the moment, and a significant lead at that when it comes to the cavalry units. Sure, there's the Desert Raider, which don't exactly function well against the Archer, but look at that little raid coming in. Might actually, yep, 1 kill.
That doesn't look like textiles either, right?
Doesn't. One of the horsemen does go down, but a villager kill earned.
Well played. DeMu did make the right choice here. I had a feeling he might. Like, you know, we've seen a few players recently forget Textiles really is that busted. And ever since then, in tournament play, I feel like it comes in the moment you can.
Kiljardi is going to turn around.
Please shift away, but the poke damage not working out for him. Still down now, also on the way.
He's good with the scout. Might kill. Okay, he's choosing to go back again. The archers are going to turn around, though.
Yeah, keep in mind, the more he does this dance, the more he's not decap and sacred size. All three just got locked in, so now you're kind of offsetting that eco difference we're seeing in favor of Kiljardi.
Yeah. First as a Raider has just been picked off by the archers. Kiljardi still has the horseman advantage, but only a slight advantage. Looks like he also managed to just take down one of these scholars. Must have been looping or like still remaining somewhere. There it is. One scholar did go down.
The good news is Sacred Sight's locked in. It's not painful. We've seen games where you don't get a Sacred Sight, you lose that first scholar. It's almost like when you're on the verge of defeat. So he will be able to recover from that. I'd love to see Ben be able to approach the center of this map and get that wall up we usually expect, because that's when you have a bit more agency here to cut the map.
I think behind this now, Kiljardi does want to go up to the castle edge. We can see the macro behind this is looking like it. Can we quickly check the Golden Age state right now on Kiljardi's base, whether or not he's getting close to it? He is getting close. Only 4 more buildings after that house finishes.
Maybe 4 racks is being dropped to get that transition complete?
Maybe, probably not.
Yeah. I think the Gulam idea usually feels nice, but back to that whole detail of like you wall the center, that's where the Gulams get a bit weird, right? It's like, I always find that leads to hesitancy. So we're likely going to be looking at a standard Camel Lancer play.
Oh, there it is. It's going to be the advancement wing from the looks of it. That H-up was a little bit quick, yeah, and indeed is going to be the advancement wing coming in for Kiljardi.
Does DeMu have enough to punish this?
I'm not sure. He does have double the military at the moment, but now that Kiljardi has committed to the H-up, he can in theory start scaling again. And as soon as the H-up hits, it's going to be immediately veterancy coming in.
Oh, this is interesting as well. DeMu going up to a 4th scholar. I feel like we don't see that too often at this stage, right? Like the primary blacksmiths are in.
Usually it's just market abuse at this point in time. 4 scholars, that's quite a lot, and he is actually locking them in all of those buildings, so is going to go for maximum production speed here on all of his production buildings.
I love this from Ben. He's the only player we've seen here kind of going off the beaten path of the scholar count, right? We mentioned the game from the other day where he done the triple opening, and now this one to just kind of inflate the production even faster. There is still that big question mark on whether he can breach. The good news is there's only 1 outpost up on the front, and there's no arrow slits or fortifications, right? Because the stone fort facing meant that Kiljardi couldn't try that.
Yeah. Sacred Side decap attempt is coming in, but Ghazi Raiders did split up. Decap is going to get denied here for Kiljardi, but the age up should be coming in any moment now. Has the resource for 2 veterancy upgrades.
DeMu's getting ready to send it. Siege just got queued up.
It's getting really, really close now. I think Kiljardi, he's kind of like still very hesitant when it comes to unit production, and he doesn't have the buildings that he needs to make the units that he wants to. And DeMu, as the H-up finishes, is going to send it in. Camel Lancers out of 3 buildings now going to be in queue.
This could be a quick, and the Archer Mass is out of control here. You know, you usually think veterancy turns a game around, but it's not that simple, right? Like, you tend to kind of overkill, and when you're up against the taxi buffer that DeMu has here, there's a big risk that Kiljardi could be forced into a fight before he's ready.
Golden Age Tier 2 deactivated by taking down that outpost.
Oh my God. And also the fact he only has 2 stables here. 3rd one got added on a delay, right? So he'll probably get maybe 2 Camel Lancers out, but that's still going to allow enough time that DeMu should be able to take out these 4 buildings.
I mean, there is still the bonus torch armor, right? So that helps him quite a bit here. These buildings do take a while to take down. Veterancy on the archers is now going to be coming in. We do have the first couple of Camel Lancers, and this might be enough where Kiljardi says, okay, now I want to start taking some of these fights. But DeMu, 51 archers, that is not an easy mass to deal with.
Yeah, and he always has that soft reset towards the Sacred Site if it gets dicey, right? If it gets down to 4 minutes, he has to fall back to that as his win condition. It's a very comfortable position to be in. So sooner rather than later, Kiljardi needs to find that way out. But the problem right now is his Archer Mass isn't big enough to be on its own. You want to be up to, like, what, 35 in the next minute? So you can kind of send Camel Archers out, but those numbers just aren't realistic.
Yeah. Now Archer Mass, I mean, it's still scaling up, and Kiljardi does have that advantage going for him, and now +2 Pierce Armor also going to be on the way. Once he gets that, even with the Mass, it looks like this might not be that bad of a fight anymore. Like, the +2 Pierce Armor actually does make quite a big difference here when it comes to the damage that the Archers take.
Damn it. I wondered with the extra scholars was he was thinking about maybe Castle, but he feels locked in now. 72 military mass. The numbers keep pumping. Bloomery is now on the way, but to be honest with you, there's not many Ghazis here to buff up with that.
Yeah, only 12 Ghazi Raiders, and right now we're up to 5 Camel Lancers. Kiljardi, he's not getting any more gold in at this point in time. He's fully fixated now on massing as many archers as possible. 11 archers in the queue, and the fight is going to start happening now. Camel Lancers, excellent shield here. The Horsemen as well, with the +2 armor upgrade now, are going to be able to take significantly more damage from these archers before going down, and the fight looks like it's going to be going in Kiljardi's favor.
Yeah, I think it's falling apart. DeMu just doesn't have enough Ghazi. You saw he tried to dive to the backside of the archers, they just simply didn't care. DeMu does just brute force his way through the other side for a trade, but once this army's gone, what have you got behind it? Looks like DeMu has started to macro up towards that castle age, but now the beast is going to be unleashed. Kiljardi, 30+ archers, and DeMu knows it's simply too much. The Finn opens our grand finals with a win in game 1.
GG indeed gets called, and all right, Kiljardi, first point on the board for him here. Very, very nice display here as the Ayyubids, and I really enjoyed how he didn't straight away commit to a fight as soon as the upgrade came in. He realized, okay, I don't quite have the unit mass yet, and even though there was a Sacred Side timer ticking, he still deliberately took his time, massed up his units. He knew, okay, for the next 5 minutes, I got time. DeMu is the one that has to make something happen here. He needs to go for the all-in. That all-in, in the end, not fully happening, and Kiljardi coming out on top.
Yeah, it looked like he was maybe going to have a chance when he camped on that gold, right? You can see Kiljardi was kind of edging it, not having the resource in reserve. But, you know, when you attack Kiljardi, it's almost a familiar feeling for him. You know, what's that classic? You can immunize yourself if you get something enough. Well, this guy is so used to attacking people. Of course, he's going to be prepped on the defensive in these situations. So an interesting development early on in this series, but I think we somewhat anticipate that. You mentioned at the start of the game, Ayyubids are favored in this particular matchup. But remember, folks, it's a best of 7, so still plenty of time to reset.